I know it's been 3 weeks or 2 weeks or however long, but I'm back now. It's the holiday season. I had to spend it with family. I was not focused on my YouTube career at the time. You can't get mad at me for that. You can't blame me for that. I'm sorry, guys. I was not on it like I said I would be on it, but now I'm back with another video. Did you miss me? Did you miss me? Did you miss me? I'm back now, and it's been a great holiday season. I hope you guys, if you celebrate Christmas, had a great Christmas. If you celebrate any other holiday, I hope you had a great holiday. It's a holiday season. But anywho, I thought I would come back, make another video before the year ends. And this week, what I'm talking about today is my favorite functions or tips that I use on Procreate. Procreate is the drawing application that I use on my iPad, and I've had so much fun with it over the last few months. I've learned a lot. I've changed a lot of my style because of the tools that are available to me on Procreate. So I thought I would share with you guys some of my top 5 favorite things. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, so here's a list 1 through 5 of probably my top 5 favorite, I guess, features or tips or things that I've learned on Procreate that I wanted to share. They're all kind of all over the place. They're not a very cohesive set of things that I really like, but I just wanted to kind of walk you guys through them, share what I know, because when I first started on Procreate, there were so many things that I, didn't know how to do, and that when I learned them, I was stoked. I was like, oh yeah, bet. I wish I had known this before. So I just wanted to make a real quick, concise video of what I mess with on Procreate, and yeah, let's get to it. So the first one here on this list is the brush options. So the brush options, that's hard to say. Brush options, the brush options. Oh my gosh. Okay. The brush options on Procreate, that Procreate has. So I'm gonna go ahead into an empty layer here, and I wanna show you guys just the vast variety of different types of brushes that we can use. I was definitely really overwhelmed when I first got into Procreate. I was like, oh yeah, super jazzed. There's so many brushes I can use. But you don't actually, you can get lost in the sauce, basically. I didn't know what was an actual good brush to use, which one was just kind of distracting. But a lot of the brushes that they give you are kind of like, I want to say like very specific things, rather than there are certain brushes that I really like to use that are really good for sketching, painting, lining, all of the above, which really helped me narrow it down. So a few of my favorite ones. Lately, if we go into my recent, I've been using the round brush, and I believe you can find the round brush in the generic painting section here. If you click painting, round brush. This brush is just great for filling in color, mapping out where things go. As you can see, its opacity depends on the amount of pressure you put. So let's say I want to shade this whole screen like a light pink. I can do that by just applying a light amount of pressure. And this brush is nice because it kind of will blend for you. It'll be a little bit forgiving, but it's cool for filling color in that way, and also for building form. Let's just draw, let's see, a piece of candy or something. So I'll start with a big form of candy, and then you can really start to add shadow and depth to it just because of that pressure that I was talking about before. Just like that. Let's add some shadow on the end, and then come in with the round brush eraser, and it really just helps keep the form cohesive. I always like to match my eraser with my brush because I feel like it just melds better. Like, see here, side note, total side tangent, but if I use the round brush here, right, just make a shape. If I use the round brush here and then I use a different eraser, let's use 6B compressed eraser, it will totally take away the round brush aesthetic, and it looks like I'm using a completely other brush. So one thing that I do to keep everything cohesive is to make sure I'm erasing with the same brush that I'm painting or drawing with. Back to our regular scheduled program. I'm just gonna finish doing this piece of candy. It's a really cruddy piece of candy, but I'm doing it. Just add shadow, and you can see how just with pressure you can build up a lot of depth. And I would recommend using the round brush for you know, the sketch art, just loose art, or your loose like form is really fun to use with a round brush. You can do so much with it just based on the amount of pressure you're using, the size that it is. It's really cool. So yeah. That's my piece of candy. Moving on to other brushes. So this next brush is called the Ink Bleed, and it is in the inking section in the brush library. This brush makes it look like the ink is bleeding, I guess, onto the paper. This is a large, you know, I put it on the largest setting, but as you can see, the outside of it looks so detailed, and it helps a lot. If you're trying to get a certain look within your line art, even smaller, it looks really good. And the way that this brush flows especially has been a treat to work with. I would really recommend using this one for your final layer of line art. The only reason I say that is because even if you were to use an eraser with this brush, it's still, it looks choppy. I would really recommend going in with your final line art layer with this brush, if you like it. I've just been using it lately, so I thought I'd share. Lastly, a brush that I really like is the round brush. This brush is imported. I can actually share with you the link that it's imported from. You can click share here, and it will export, and I'll be able to share this brush with any of my friends or you guys on YouTube or anywhere that I'd like. That's a feature that I really do enjoy. But yeah, so the round brush is really good for also that sketching layer. It is a brush that its size is based on your pressure. So obviously I can control the size here on the side. However, if I want to control it a little bit more precisely while I'm drawing, the depth, the pressure that I apply dictates the size that it will be. So brushes like this are really helpful when you're trying to figure out your line art layer, because it helps with, you know, consistency, and it gives it a little bit more character. It's really fun to use. So let's just play around with this a bit. And the changes in the size are subtle, but if you're, you know, paying attention to it, and it can actually really benefit you. But yeah, as you can see, just so much size variation, and just this little eye. Like, as you can see, the ends of the eyelashes are skinny, while the chunky bits of the eye here are chunky. And I haven't even adjusted the layer at all. I haven't adjusted that, so that's really fun to use, and I really enjoy that brush. Again, it's the round brush. Link will be in the bio, and you can also share your brushes, which is really cool. Okay, so enough about brushes. The second one that I really like is the reference window. Okay, so if I want to draw something and have a picture as a reference, which I do quite frequently, just so I'm making sure my proportions are where they should be. What I did when I first got Procreate was I just plastered a picture here on the screen, just like that. And I would, you know, I would draw in accordance to where that picture is, you know, and it would work. It would be nice. It would be nice, but it would be hard because my hand would get in the way, or, you know, it just wouldn't be as perfect as I'd like it to be. Okay, but Procreate has a feature where you can get rid of that. They have a feature where you can actually have a reference photo right here, and you can move it around the screen just like this. Yeah, you can resize it like this. And the way that this works is, let's clear that all away. So you have your blank screen, you go here into the settings, you go to canvas, and just this button right here, click reference, and boom, it pops up. And if you don't already have a photo that, you know, ready to use, you'll click import and then pick a photo from your camera roll that you want to use. This is one of my favorite features because how often I would smack a photo straight on the canvas and use that as my reference. It's nice, but it's also, it gets in the way. So this is the best way to do that. Next is the canvas texture. This is a tricky one, but it's really helpful to get, I guess, a realistic type of image out from your work. I get really bored of, you know, drawing on this plain white background. It doesn't really give the image any depth, doesn't really help push the realismness or the realisticness forward. So one way that I found that we can do this, it's not as simple as all the other things have been. So this one's a bit of a step-by-step. So the first thing you're going to do is open a new layer. You can see I have a layer here. You're going to want to go here into add on your actions, insert a photo. And I have somewhere deep buried in here a picture of a picture of textured paper. You can get that online. Just Google Procreate textured paper and it'll pop up. So boom, I'm going to click that. Let's turn it. And I'm going to just stretch it so it fits the canvas. I'm going to duplicate this layer. And for the bottom layer, what I'm going to do is turn it into a multiply layer. So here, after you turn it into a multiply layer, click adjustments and click curves. But before you do anything here, just turn off the layer above it, that duplicate layer that you made. Back to curves, click the center line and drag it till it's all the way dark. You can do it to how you'd like it. I like having a lot of the paper shine through. Yeah, so you'll just click back. You're done with that. You're gonna go onto your duplicate layer, click the N here and change the layer to a screen. Then you can mess around with the opacity too if you'd like. But here now, we have a texture that we can draw on and it will shine through the paper. So yeah, it's not a foolproof way to do it, but it does help just get a different feel for your piece of art. As you can see, there's much more of a texture here. I do hope that one day Procreate will create just an easy way to do this, because it took me a long time, a lot of Googling to figure out how to get texture on my piece. But just because I know Procreate focuses on making a user-friendly platform for people to do art on, I think that's something they should really consider. But hey, c'est la vie. Moving on. The next feature that we're gonna look at is number 4, color palette. So there's so much you can do with just organizing the colors that you want to use in Procreate. Let's go to an empty layer. And let's go click here in this corner. That's where our colors are. This color wheel is what you'll typically see, where you can choose exactly what color you want to use. And it's perfectly perfect the way it is. However, if you want a specified palette, if you want to keep like a cohesive theme going on with some different artwork, or if you're using a reference photo and you want to replicate the colors, what you'll do is click here, palettes. And as you can see, I have a few palettes already made here. Some come with it. I believe Flourish, Campfire, and Ascend all came with the app. And all of these are palettes I created from an image. Now, you might ask, how in the heck do you do that? I'll show you. So what you're gonna do is click this plus button in the corner. You can create a new palette from just the color wheel like I showed you before. From using your camera, you can take a picture and create a palette that way. You can find a file that has some image in it and get the colors from that. Or what I like to do is extract the colors from a photo. So click new from photos. And then here you have your lovely display of your camera roll. You can choose a picture that you want to replicate that color scheme from. So sometimes what I do, as you can see here, I'll go to this website. I'll just put it on the screen or in my bio. And these are color palettes from that website, and I can click that and create a color palette. But what I want to do here is take an image, something from Pinterest. And as you can see, what it did was create a complete palette of that photo. So if I go here, go to reference, click the photo that I took the palette from, move it here, go to my colors, and as you can see, boom, matching. You have all your infinity stones. You're using your reference, you're using your color palette, you're importing images. It's perfect. So as you can see, each color here is extracted from this photo. So if I was just ready to just create a replica of this photo, I really could. Using my reference and my color palettes that I extracted, I can just go ahead, make a leg here, and they all will match the colors, which is so cool. I really enjoy this feature a lot. You can do a lot of different things with it. And it just keeps everything really organized in a way that you don't have to worry about like mixing colors up, losing colors. It's just really a controlled way to do it. So I appreciate this one a lot. And I don't use it as much as I should. I sometimes do forget that it's a thing. But it is so helpful, especially when you're someone who likes to use reference images to create their work. The last thing that I want to talk about here is the adjustments. Let's go. I created an apple for you all today. Beautiful apple. So you can do so much with just something this flat and this uncharacteristic. So let's just duplicate it just so we don't mess anything up too much. So if we click this magic wand button here in the corner, boop, you have all of these different ways to adjust your apple. The first one I use the most frequently is liquify. Liquify is basically a pushing, pull, size, expanding tool, I guess. It can do a lot of different things. It can push, it can twirl, it can pinch, expand, crystals, which I'm not even really sure what that is, edge, not sure what that one is either, or reconstruct. I typically use push. What it does, depending on your size and the amount of pressure you use, you can push it around, move it around, wiggle it around. This may not look very helpful as I, mush up and mess up my apple. However, if you have a line art layer where things aren't looking as great as you want them to be, you can just push it a little bit over. You can expand it. You can make it smaller. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with the liquify tool. Let's show you guys the expand. And you can give this apple a little bit thicker. Make this apple a little bit bigger. Let's see what crystals are. Oh, it makes it fuzzy. I'm not gonna lie, I don't see when this would ever be helpful, but to each their own. If somebody's used that tool before and it's been something helpful to them, let me know, because I don't know when and why that would ever be helpful. That is liquify. Another thing that I use quite frequently up here is color balance. This helps if I'm looking at a piece and I'm like, well, these colors don't really fit. I don't really like the way that they're mending together. So you have the options to alter your cyan, red, magenta, green, yellow, and blue colors. So you can go over here. This one doesn't change too much because there's not that much in this picture that uses cyan, that bright blue color. The only thing that changes here is the stem. So let's go to something that we know we're using. Yeah, like the reds and the magentas within my apple. If you push it all the way over, you get this bright color that kind of is just really opposite of that green. So if that green has a lot of yellows in it, let's turn the yellows down and it becomes much more of a cohesive piece. It takes a little bit of color theory to understand exactly what you're doing when you're using the knobs, but just push around with something, play with it a bit, and you'll be like, oh, it's such a cool tool to make your art more cohesive. Another thing that I use is the Gaussian, the blur tool, basically. I don't know how to say that, but all you got to do, click it open, and then you drag your pen across the screen, and you can really just mess with the blur. The way that I utilize this the most is, let's turn on my duplicate apple layer, and I will click my Gaussian blur, and what it can do is just, it can create a glow effect for your apple. Or if you go here, if you click adjustments and turn down the brightness, you can create a shadow. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with the adjustments tools. They're honestly pretty endless. You have chromatic aberration, where you can change, like, the glitch effect that you see often. You can change the way that that's going. It looks like it's breaking the apple apart. Just such a cool tool. Just such a cool tool. Boop, 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 boop. Notable mention, obviously, if you don't know about this, this is my favorite function of Procreate, is the time-lapse tool. Let's go into a cooler piece so you can see this thing really in action. So this is a piece I did not too long ago. If you click actions, or the action button, click video, you can click time-lapse replay. Just click that. It will show you step by step, every single brush stroke, every single eraser mark, every step of the way of how you created your piece. And it helps tremendously, especially when you you're thinking you're on a finished product and you're not liking what it looks like, just start the time lapse, sit and watch what you did so you can critique yourself as you go. I did not know, silly me, but I did not know this existed when I got Procreate, when I was doodling around with the app when I first got it. But when I found this function, I was so excited. I was so excited. I immediately watched everything that I had drawn back. I had made edits because it gives you a chance to look at your piece in a way that you hadn't before, from start to finish. Because I know when I'm doing a piece, I'm like so invested and I'm looking at it so closely. But when you're using something like the time-lapse replay, you're able to break apart every single thing you did when you created your piece. So this is just definitely by far my favorite function on Procreate. I hope you guys definitely utilize this function because it is unbelievable. And this is the only thing that I know that will do this for you. The only platform I know that will do that. So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my 5 tips and a few extras in there. Let me know what surprised you the most, or what tip you liked the best, or are the most excited to try. And give me some more tips too, because I'm always looking for new things and new ways to use that app, because it's just so fun to use and I want my skills to increase. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be back next week, hopefully on Monday. With another video, and let me know what types of videos you guys would like to see. Starting to run out of ideas, but I would really like to make some content for you guys specifically, and some of my personal passion projects as well. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the new year. Enjoy celebrating, partying, and being around family and friends and pets and loved ones and all that good jazz. Happy holiday season. Happy New Year. Bye guys.